Good morning, everyone. Happy week 7. My name is Ashmere, and welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. We are all on time and ready to talk about football. And I feel like I can't believe we're at week 7. Like, the time is going by very quickly, and we already have a 6:30 a.m. game here, PT, that has been going on with Trevor Lawrence filled with action, like the 55-yard bomb or something or other. I'm surprised. Welcoming in Jeff and Joe. Welcome, guys. How are you? Joe is back after he was doing very good deeds in Tampa.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Good morning. Good morning. Happy to be back on the time zone, mountain time now. I was just getting used to the East Coast. Now I'm back in the mountains. But yeah, happy to be back.
And to prove that he was here doing work and not for pleasure, he came to my backyard and we didn't even have any Miller time. There was no beers shared. So it was all work for Joe. So kudos to Joe and his team for coming out here and do some really much needed work out here. Driving through certain parts of the area, there's still neighborhoods still underwater. So It is still very real going. So anytime you get people coming here to help out after a tragic event like this, we appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks. It was definitely an experience for sure, but I'm glad I was able to get out there and help some people out.
Yeah, Joe is doing good for all. All right, let's talk some football. So let's kick it off with the rapid fire here. Jeff, please take it away.
Well, we can finally bury the moving to change unanimous curse because every unanimous pick hit last week. So the curse is officially dead, at least for now, until it reincarnates itself in another week. But everybody was on fire. No losing records last week. Everybody was at least 3 games above. Joe, yes, you even had a great record last week, 8-5. But there was a guy that went 12-1 last week, and leapfrog Greg. He'll remain nameless at this point. But either way, Ashmere is still in the lead with a healthy 2-game lead over this guy who will remain nameless. But right now, Ashmere, you're still sitting. You're still the queen of the perch right now.
Okay, I love the tombstone of the unanimous curse. It was only 1 week. I think it still exists among every nationally televised game. I'm glad that it didn't fall on us.
It's hit every week we've had a show. We've had at least one unanimous game up until last week. That is the first week since we've been doing the show we didn't have a unanimous pick miss.
Yeah, thank God. Because if those games fell apart, I mean, the NFL was literally, I was going to say, what is the NFL at this point?
Greg said he isn't angry.
Yeah, good. He had a little fire on his name, so that means he was heating up a little bit. Yeah. Joe had that light spark.
He was long overdue. I mean, my God. Still got a ways to go, though.
Well, it's better than week 1 where we all had flames and Joe had snow all over his. That was bad. That was bad.
I think Brock's picks, too. So Brock was in the helping of the unanimous curse bust. So maybe it was Brock's energy.
There you go.
Yes.
Today we've got an exciting slate of games. I mean, I think I'm kind of upset we have Lions Vikings in the morning with all the morning games, but let's kick it off with that one because Sam Darnold's coming off a bye week. There is a lot of energy around the Vikings defense, and Jared Goff is absolutely dealing with the Lions. So a battle of the North, and I'm excited to hear your guys' breakdowns on this. First off, how does the Vikings defense look to both of you?
Oh, man. They look really good this season. I mean, Brian Flores has those guys just on attack mode. They're jumping off the bus or the plane or whatever mode of transportation they're using to get to the game and just going after the quarterback. I mean, they're just making our boy, C.J. Stroud, look pedestrian against them a couple of weeks ago. So I think if you're a Vikings fan, you have to be really excited about that defense. It's been looking really well, doing a really good job against the run, creating turnovers. I think the biggest thing about the Vikings defense is they do a really good job of making you uncomfortable. Whatever you're good at, they stop it. It's been as simple as that. Sounds simple when I say it, not simple to execute, but they've been doing a really good job of getting that done. That's why they're undefeated.
Greg, we do have to mention the Cowboys loss because in that loss, they lost their best pass rusher. Okay, we're talking about Aiden Hutchinson done for the year with a broken leg. That's going to hurt this pass rush of the Detroit Lions, something that they desperately need if you want to go into this game against Minnesota. I believe it's in Minnesota and win. All right, so you got to deal with the crowd noise. You got to deal with a lot of things. But first thing you got to do is go out there and pressure their quarterback, Sam Darnold. What you also got to do is get an early lead. Right, so it's imperative that the Lions now, if they kick off first, they got to get a stop right away. They can't let Minnesota go down there and get points. Minnesota feasts on scoring first, building a lead, and making you play from behind. If you want to get Sam Darnold to make mistakes, you got to make him press. You got to get a lead on him and make him try and chase you, or make it an even game where you're going back and forth and he has to consistently go out there and produce every series. If that's the case, that's when you're going to get him to make a mistake. When he's playing with a lead, he's not going to make those mistakes. He can play safe. He can do all the things and rely on that defense. So that's where this comes into play. The Minnesota defense is the reason why they're undefeated, because it allows Sam Darnold to play within himself.
Yeah, and Sam Darnold is really dealing. He hasn't had too many difficult opponents, I would say, except for the San Francisco 49ers. And we all know when you're playing your ex, you're going to play differently. So I think he really showed up and show out. Plus that stat that I said, they hadn't won in Minnesota in like 20-something years or whatever. After that, I was like, okay, well, it doesn't really matter who is throwing in San Francisco. It's really about that Minnesota energy. So going back to Minnesota here, it's a battle of wide receivers, actually. We've got Justin Jefferson taking on Amon St. Brown. I think this is really where the offense shines and explodes, including the dual backs and the running backs for the Lions, but we'll get to them later. So who is the most lethal target, in your guys' opinion, when you compare these two wide receivers?
Oh, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, gotta be Justin Jefferson.
He's a guy that you could throw that screen to and he can take off after the catch. But most importantly, he stretches the defense. You could put a safety over the top, and he'll still burn you. Okay, he is a guy who you have to deal with for 99 yards. You can't just cover him for 20 or 30 because he doesn't have top end speed, or he's not a guy who's a one-trick pony who only goes vertical. He gives you every bit of what you need, and it's something that most receivers don't have. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a lethal receiver when he gets in space. But what you saw last week, even though they blew out the Dallas Cowboys, he didn't light the Dallas Cowboys up. He had a very modest game, and he had his touchdown at the end. But what you saw was he was able to be contained. Very few people contain Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, Justin Jefferson's elite. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the league. I think that Amon St. Brown is a great slot receiver. He's a guy that knows where the sticks are and can get you those first downs. But I think when you talk about Justin Jefferson, that's a different type of receiver. And he's not just a slot guy like Jeff Fed. He has a little bit of top speed where he can go deep. He can catch. Once you start missing tackles, he has the ability to get a lot of yak after the catch, which I think makes him a special receiver. And then also his body type. He's not small. I mean, this guy's like 6'1", 6'2". Can also get the ball in the red zone as far as like those jump balls go when you get into the red zone. Just a different kind of wide receiver. Not saying that Amon St. Brown is not good. He is, but I just think that Justin Jefferson's a lower, different kind of level. Just elite. One of the top 3 in the league for sure.
Yeah, we're giving the Vikings a lot of flowers in this prep of the 9 minutes of the show. So to question what the Lions are capable of doing, Jared Goff he's been phenomenal. I think he's been completing more than 80% of his passes. He's thrown more than 800 yards in the first 6 games of the season, just explosive. But I think it's different when he's pressured. And we're talking about the Minnesota defense here. They're going to pressure him. So what adjustments can that Lions offensive line make to protect Goff? Just avoid that at any cost, just to stay afloat in this matchup.
I hope they did a steady diet of film research, because what you're going to get from Brian Flores are different looks, different blitz packages. Some things are going to look very similar to others. You've got to have your eyes. You got to have the discipline. You got to have your head on a swivel. You can't over anticipate things. It's going to be imperative making the right checks at the line of scrimmage as far as protections. Trying to get that ball out quickly at times is going to be imperative for Jared Goff, because even when they're going to protect them, there's times they're going to send more than they can pick up. So they just got to play smart, really dig into the film, try and get his tendencies, try and dictate how he calls the defense as opposed to allowing him to dictate how they call their offense.
Yeah, and I think too, if you're the Detroit Lions, you got to run the ball. I mean, you have two great running backs that are both different styles. They finally came up with the nickname Sonic and Knuckles for both of those guys. You have to give a steady diet to that, because what slows down a pass rush is a solid running game and also the screen game. I think that both of those guys are pretty good, beyond decent at catching the ball out the backfield. I think some screens to them as well will slow down the pass rush and at least make Brian Flores hesitate to be as aggressive as he has been. That's the best thing you can do to protect Jared Goff. Run the ball, quick screen game, and just make the Vikings have to pause a little bit and think about what play could possibly be next.
All right, when you're looking at the defensive matchups here, we talked about missing Hutchinson and how that's going to affect the Lions. How do they adjust now? Because he's going to be out for not games, it's months. Did you hear me?
I hear you now.
Oh, I was asking, how do the Lions adjust without Hutchinson for this matchup?
That's a hard player to replace. So what you're going to have to, it's when you lose a guy that's special, it's just hard to replace that kind of production. What you have to do is kind of find ways to scheme up things that are going to help you get that same kind of pressure. You won't get the same quality of pressure, but you can still get some of that production back. You're going to need, of course, next man up. Guys have to step up. Yes, that part is true. But at times, you got to do certain things, whether it's disguising coverage in different ways, whether it's disguising your blitzes in different ways, set up your stunts with different looks and shifts on the line of scrimmage, different things you can do schematically to kind of help your guys get there and get home on the pass rush. It's going to be hard. He's just a special player. Hard to block one-on-one. Those guys are rare. So when you do that, it's got to be a way of, hey, we got to change this up. Maybe sometimes go to an odd front and show blitzes and drop out and do different things that way. I know when I was a young defensive coordinator, I lost two of my starting 4 defensive linemen. One of them was my top pass rusher, and it got to the point where the cupboard was almost bare. I had to kind of go odd fronts and mix up blitz packages to get pressure. So that may be some of the things that they do this week to kind of say, hey, you know what? If I'm Aaron Glenn, I may have to do that to get pressure without my best guy.
Yeah, I think if I'm the Detroit Lions, it's just a next man up mentality. I think you got to try to do it as a team. You can't not one guy is going to be to replace Hutch. I know I'm kind of biased, being he's a Michigan guy, but he is one of the best players in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, this is the kind of guy that offenses in the NFL were trying to figure out. Okay, how can we get our game plan where we can make him not destroy the game plan? So I think losing him and him having the chance to only be a part of the team, maybe if the Lions make the Super Bowl they're talking about, he could possibly get back on the field. That's a long ways away. I think up to the Lions, next man up, man. You got to do it by committee. I mean, there's a D lineman room, so the other guys in that room step up. And also, to Jeff's point, you got to kind of switch things up a little bit too and give that offense that you're playing against something else to think about. But not one person's going to be able to replace him.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that losing Hutchinson, it was a very unfortunate play too. I mean, it was like the Lions are already up. There's just no need for any type of injury that's big, that's going to affect the team like that. I think this is one of the most exciting matchups today. There's, I think, 4 good ones. But before we roll into the next one, I wanted to ask, Justin Fields has been benched today, and we are going to see Russell Wilson take the field. Steelers are at a 4-2 start. Justin Fields scored 2 rushing touchdowns last week against the Raiders. I know it's the Raiders, but it still happened. So I'm curious to hear both of your guys' thoughts on why they made this change and if you support it, I guess, and what you think the pros are for Russell to be the number 1 guy. Joe.
I've kind of been up and down with this. I mean, I look at their record. You don't have a bad record. You're 4-2, not underwater. It's not like you have no wins at all. But I also can see where, hey, as a passer, Russell Wilson's the better of the passer. And if you feel like, hey, we're 4-2, but we could be possibly undefeated if we had a little bit more of an explosive offense in those 2 games we lost, I think that Russell Wilson has shown with this pass that he can be a better passer. And we know he throws a great deep ball, one of the best deep balls in the NFL. The Steelers' offensive line is exactly the greatest offensive line But I think if I look at it that way, where, hey, we're trying to make our offense more explosive and be able to be more of a threat to the opponent's defense, I can kind of understand why you would go to Russell Wilson. But I think that if I was the coach, I would have given Justin Fields the opportunity, if, hey, it's your job until you lose it. I think I would have stuck with Justin Fields, and maybe you sprinkle Russell Wilson in for a couple plays here or there. But I think until Fields loses the job, you give him the opportunity to get back out there and fight with his guys.
Yeah, I wasn't on board with it because I'll tell you why. And it's not that I don't believe that they can win with Russell Wilson. I believe that they can win with Russell Wilson. Does it drastically improve the offense from how it's playing now? I don't believe it does. Okay, I believe that with the Russell Wilson that's out there now is not the Russell Wilson of 3 years ago. Okay, he doesn't escape the pass rush the way he used to. He's not exactly the most fleet of foot anymore, and he's not the most durable anymore either. So you're at the point of his career where, unless you have a very good offensive line and running game, which they don't have, why would you put him out there? So I don't believe it changes your offense a lot. Yes, he has more experience at the line of scrimmage, managing the offense and doing all those things, but he still has to be able to avoid pass rush because this line is going to break down at protection. That's what it has done all season long. Okay, so that's going to be a problem. I don't think that they're going to come out and just start putting up 30 and 40 points a game. They're not going to do it. If they score 6 more a game, that's probably going to be more about average to right where they would be. But I just don't think he is that guy anymore. Justin, plain and simple, he is still a young quarterback. He is still growing. This is a second system. Well, not the second system, but really third if you think about the offensive coordinators he went to in Chicago. But overall, you're looking at it as, okay, you brought him in. He's growing. He has grown in this offense. You have receivers that, plain and simple, just aren't playing consistently. So it's going to hurt Russell just as much as it hurt Justin. So at the end of the day, I don't see a drastic improvement in the offense, so I don't see the purpose of making a change. You should just roll it out until you had to make a change. So that would have been your spark to kind of, if you start to hit that downturn, get out of the downturn, would have been changing quarterbacks and saying, okay, Russell, you're calling out the bullpen, come save the season. That makes more sense than when you're winning right now, because even if you go out there and it doesn't change much, you start to lose a couple of games or you middle out at 2-2 over the next 4 games, you can't go back to Justin now. You've already taken his confidence away. So at this point, it's got to be Russell Wilson or bust the rest of the season. So it's a very tricky situation when you make a big quarterback move like this.
Yeah, I think I understand the passing situation with Fields, but we all can agree there's one thing that he does better, and that is scramble and move out of the pocket and use his legs. And Russell Wilson is not doing that anymore. I mean, he really just kind of falls apart when he feels the line coming in.
Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. I mean, I think for anyone.
I think Justin Fields was improving as a passer from week 1 with the Steelers to last week. I think he was getting better. I mean, there's a lot of big plays he had through the passing game that were called back because of holding or some kind of penalty. I can think of at least 4 or 5 passes that were like 25 yards plus, but they were brought back because of penalties. So I don't think he's a horrible passer, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, looking at that Steelers offensive line, don't be surprised if halfway through this game you might see Russell Wilson on the bench due to performance, or I don't wish any ill will on anybody, but because of his durability issues, maybe even due to injury. So I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Fields gets more playing time than expected this game.
And the telling sign is, he said, you're going to see both of them. They're going to have packages for Justin Fields. So in other words, you're still not totally sold on this move, which to me means you don't make the move. Unless if you're going to make a quarterback change, you have to be 100% behind it. You can't have any second thoughts about it. It's got to be, all right, we're making this change. You're the guy. To start playing the 2 quarterback system package thing, it's not really going to help Justin Fields out because he doesn't learn anything coming in doing just run in RPO packages. So if you're going to make the change full time.
Yeah, I definitely think the usage is like tugging at his heartstrings. He's been leading the team very well. I think the chemistry that he's built with the offense, it's apparent on the field. They're really jiving. And so to bring in Russell when in the offseason everyone was kind of like, I don't know. And the conditions that were around Fields' trade with the draft numbers, I think all of that is kind of coming into decision-making here with how many snaps he's going to take. So I think we're going to see Fields more than we believe. I don't know how much success Russell is going to have, especially against the Jets, who are getting their brand new shiny wide receiver that they're so excited to play with. And it's Sunday Night Football, so there's going to be a lot of eyes on the performance of Devontae and Russell Wilson in their own regard. All right, before we roll into our following games, let's take a quick break, and we will see you guys soon.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build a cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. # built for the wild.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
What's up, y'all? It's another Sunday and it's another parlay slip I cooked up for y'all. Let's get into it. I got a 10-legger for y'all, one slip. Let's talk about it. DK Metcalf for anytime touchdown. He's going to get it. He's due for one. The past couple he's gotten, they took away. He's going to get it. Kirk Cousins, 225 passing yards, guaranteed lock. Amari Cooper with his debut with the Buffalo Bills. I got him getting over 35 yards. Tony Pollard over 65 rushing, guaranteed lock. CJ Stroud and Jordan Love both going to get over 200 passing yards. That'll be a good game to watch, by the way. David Montgomery has been getting a touchdown in his last 7 games. Guaranteed lock, Montgomery, anytime touchdown. Kyron Williams, he's gotten touchdowns to his past season, guaranteed lock. I also got Jordan Love for 2 passing touchdowns and Devontae Smith over 35 yards. Make sure you guys sign up on BetUS to go ahead and get this free money. Promo code Team NBS Media.
Welcome back, everyone, to Team NBS Media here on Moving the Chains. Christy Love thinks that game is going to be high scoring. The balls are going to be flying all over the field, okay? I'm very excited based on her parlay to see what happens there, because that is some tall tales. 2 passing touchdowns for Jordan Love and 200 yards each. I don't know if the Houston defense is going to let any of that happen. So that's the perfect segue to roll into our next matchup. The CJ Stroud and Jordan Love matchup. If you're new here, we are all CJ Stroud fans, but I'm also a Jordan Love fan. I think the progression he made, especially not starting for the beginning of the season with his injury and just his comeback, like, this is a battle of 2 young QBs that are really standing out in the NFL amongst their peers, if you would say so. So, to answer, I want to know, do you guys think this is going to be a high offense, high passing matchup or what?
I do. I think you got 2 of the most dynamic young quarterbacks in the NFL. I think this is going to be one of those games where, like, whatever snacks or drink you take part in during a football game, make sure you got plenty of it when this game is on, because you don't want to miss the action. I think it's going to be great. I think that it's going to come down to one of the defenses making a big play that kind of seals the win for their team. I think this is one of the more exciting matchups of the day for sure. There's 2 great young quarterbacks. I mean, those Packers wide receivers, most people can't name more than 2 of them. But I know one thing, they make plays. And Jordan Love gets them the ball and places where they can make plays and a chance to get into the back of the end zone. And I think for Houston, I mean, high expectations. CJ Stroud starting to round into form a little bit. Stephon Diggs is kind of fitting in nicely with Houston. Yeah, this definitely has game of the day type vibes.
Yeah, I think we're going to see quite a bit of passing, because I think both teams are going to look to take away the running game and force these 2 young quarterbacks to beat them. I don't think either one of them wants to let the ground game into this and make it a hard thing to stop both. Both of these coordinators are going to come out and say, hey, we could force these 2 young quarterbacks to make mistakes, take away the running game, make them do it all with their arm. Somebody's going to make a bad play.
I mean, I think that's outrageous. The Houston Texans defense, we've been talking about them for the past 6 weeks about how strong they are. And of course, they're playing New England last week, but we saw it happen right then and there. So you don't believe that they're going to put that same pressure on this really strong Packers offense?
I think it's going to be harder to stop a Packers offense than it is some of the other teams that they face, because when you look at the Green Bay Packers, who is their number one receiver?
Right.
So who are you keying on? So who are you keying on? See, you most go to most games, you say, this guy can't beat us. This guy can't beat us. With the Green Bay Packers, if you say, I want to stop this receiver, I want to stop Christian Watson, well, there's still a chance that Dobbs and the other receivers get you. Okay, not to mention the tight ends. Where we talked about those tight ends a couple of weeks ago when we talk about fantasy points, because those tight ends count. They make plays for you. So there are certain things when you talk about with these teams, certain guys you have to stop. Green Bay is not that team. They are not built like most offenses that have certain key players that you have to stop. You have to go out there and stop their quarterback. You have to really impede the progress of their offensive line to impact this offense the most.
Joe?
I think that when it comes down to it, it's going to, like I said, somebody's defense is not to make a play. Now, if you're asking me which defense I think is more than likely to make the play, I'd go with Houston. I mean, you got Will Anderson Jr. out there, reigning NFL Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. Stingley back there in the secondary for Houston. Houston definitely has the names and the players that can make that game-defying play. And we have seen in his growth and his development, Jordan Love does have a tendency sometimes to give one or two away. So will he do that in a critical situation? I guess we'll have to find out. But if somebody told me, hey, which defense do I think has a better chance of making that game-sealing play or game-altering play, I'd stick with the Houston Texans on that.
Is this the game where we see more Josh Jacobs utilization in order to help spice up the offense? I mean, he can't be throwing the entire game.
Well, they're going to try and get him going early. I think Houston's going to look to take that away. Like I said, they want to make this hard. The hard way to do it is make Jordan Love throw 40 times and win. But also, they're going to also look to do that to C.J. Stroud. They're not going to look to give him the easy third downs and let him run the ball in the red zone. They're going to make him throw 40 times to beat him with a passing game that's been a little bit inconsistent the first half of the season. We keep talking about, the guys trying to get going. We talked about Diggs trying to get going. We know Nico Collins has been hot.
Right.
Dalton Schultz has been doing well for him. But some of those other receivers have been hit or miss in the first couple of weeks. We've seen a great game from Diggs one week, and then he goes back to a modest game the next. So the one consistent has been Nico Collins. So they may look to take Nico Collins away. Jair Alexander is a guy that can do that. A lot of experience versus Stephon Diggs as well. So there's a lot of familiarity with this Green Bay defense with some of the guys that they're facing. So, but overall, like I said, the hard thing to do is when you have the unknown is the game plan for it. Who do you stop on Green Bay? If you try to take those wide receivers away, the running game and tight end can hurt you. Mm-hmm. If you try to just blitz Love, they can hurt you with those quick throws on the outside. So there's a lot that Green Bay can do to you without having one particular guy that beats you all the time.
Now, on the reverse, the Packers defense, we haven't fluffed them up as much. They have a very tough matchup against Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and, of course, Joe Mixon. So these are three very heavily utilized people that, C.J. Stroud trusts. Tank Dell is guaranteed to get that nice down 30-yard pass, mimicking this A.J. Brown mentality and lifestyle. So curious to hear how the Packers combat that. It's the same on both sides. I think we're giving them their flowers for the utilization of different people. So what are the Packers doing, especially on that Tank Dell coverage? I think that's the one that you need to look out for the most because he's fast. And I think once him and CJ get like one of those 1st and 10-yard bombs, it really shakes up the energy on the Packers defense. So Jeff.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
Listen, it starts with Jair Alexander. Okay, like I said, he knows the guys on the outside. He's played Nico Collins before. He knows Stephon Diggs very well from his days in Minnesota. You're going to trust him on the outside to do everything on his own. Let those safeties help on the opposite side with the other corners, your linebackers in coverage underneath. when they're not blitzing are going to be big time help for you. But getting pressure with 4 is going to be big, because then that's going to allow you to affect CJ Stroud while you're trying to do all these things in coverage on the back end. You got to be able to crush a pocket from the inside. We know Green Bay has big D linemen on the interior that can do just that. So overall, I think that's where they're going to come after him, is plain and simple. They're going to stifle that running game on early downs, and then put a lot of pressure on CJ Stroud on third downs and try and take Diggs away with some of their better corners.
Yeah, I think from the Packers defense, my main goal is try to slow down Joe Mixon, because I know he's one of the keys to the Texans offense. So I'm definitely going to try to see if I can slow down Joe Mixon. And Jeff's absolutely right. I couldn't agree more. If you're sending linebackers and doing all kinds of crazy exotic blitzes, that's the only way you can get pressure against CJ Stroud, and leaving the rest of those guys on the outside by themselves, you're going to get burned more times than not. So I think for that Packers defense, that front 4 has got to be able to establish pressure on their own without relying on people coming for extra blitzes. And I think you got to slow down Joe Mixon. If you see Joe Mixon in the second or third quarter already with 65, 75 yards rushing, that's a bad day for Green Bay. And he's not a bad pass catcher out the backfield as well. So I think if I am the Green Bay Packers, our front 4 has got to get pressure. We can't rely on blitzing as the only form of way to get pressure, because if you do, you're going to lose.
Okay, sounds like Miss Christy Love is preaching. So if you guys saw that parlay, I think you would follow along with a couple of them. I'm not saying all 10. I mean, I'm not one to jump on a 10 leg, but I do think that we are talking about a strong offensive matchup today, and it's going to be very fun to watch. I'm excited to hear who we all pick later on in the show. In our final matchup, the Super Bowl redemption game, the 49ers are playing at home finally. They get to take on this dusty Chiefs team in the hot Santa Clara sun. I don't know what the weather is in Kansas City, but I'm going to assume that that's not what they're used to right now, because it is hot out here. This is like, I don't know, the matchup of the century for the Niners. I don't care if it's regular season or not. I know a lot of people are like, if it's not playoffs, who cares? But this is the team that has stopped you from winning the Super Bowl time and time again. They're your biggest opponent, I think, and the rivalry is real. Like, you did not win last year because Patrick Mahomes did one little move and threw you off your game. So let's hear what you guys are giving so far. What are the 49ers doing well before we get into the breakdown? How are they looking so far? I know there's been a lot of uncertainty. Brandon Ayuk has been like missing, and now he's kind of coming out of the woodwork. So what are your thoughts so far on the Niners up to this week?
I'm impressed how they've been able to maintain with all the injuries and off the field stuff. I mean, your best player is off in Germany getting some kind of experimental treatment. You have a tragic situation where your rookie wide receiver that you had plans for is assaulted and shot. You got guys leaving games because of injuries, holdouts, and I think only now, in my opinion, are they starting to round in the form a little bit, and they're still missing pieces. I think for this game, this is a big Brock Purdy game. I mean, for himself and for the team, as far as just showing that, hey, I can go toe-to-toe with the baddest man in the league, Patrick Mahomes, and I can get a win. I don't think you really concern yourself with the past. It's about establishing the future for the 49ers. You just want to show Kansas City that, hey, if you're thinking about last year's team, you're making a mistake. New year, new team, and we got something for you. So I think for the 49ers, this is a really, really big game. Whereas for Kansas City, it's just another week. I mean, obviously they want to keep on rolling, and they would love to still be undefeated. But I think it's a bigger game for San Francisco. I've just been really impressed with how they've handled all the stuff that's gone wrong for this team so far.
Yeah, it's a big game for the 49ers because, one, it's a Super Bowl rematch that you lost, one, but number two, the team on the other side is undefeated. If they lose today, it really doesn't affect them as much as you, who are in a tight divisional race right now, with a bunch of teams that are trying to get back into the good graces of winning themselves. So the main thing is you've managed to maintain with the injuries you've had. You're getting guys back because Debo came back, Trent Williams is healthy, but you still don't have McCaffrey. But the most impressive thing about them has been the fact they've been able to run the ball without McCaffrey. We talked about this offense and how much he changed their offense and how much he opened up everything. It's still open without him. That's the first time we can say that about this 49er offense. They are doing everything they would normally do with Christian McCaffrey but they're doing it without him, something they didn't do in the past. So I think the biggest thing about the Snyder's team that you take away from it is, okay, they lost their best player, the guy that opens his offense up wide, but yet they're still wide open without him. That's the first time we've said that about them in a very long time.
Yeah, I know everyone's saying you can't worry about the past, but if I'm thinking about how many rings I could have had, I'm worried about the past. Like, I am thinking about that man that stopped me from getting the gold on my hands. And I know that was a rhyme. You're welcome, everybody. I think this matchup has a lot to it. And the Chiefs getting their first loss from San Francisco, although it won't do anything in their rankings and the schedule, how the Chiefs live out their day-to-day, I do think that it shows that when we progress in the season, the Niners will have the ability to take on the Chiefs again and maybe do that, repeat the loss, and they'll get CMC back and just add that weapon to their backside. So we'll go to the other side. The Chiefs I don't know how they keep doing it. I think it's like the headline of the century is Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce figure it out. I think today, number one is to stop Travis Kelce, and it's going to be a Swiftie nation here in the Bay Area because there are going to be so many people probably rocking more Taylor Swift than we think at Levi's Stadium because I think she came here like last year. So there's just a lot of Swifties out here. Anyways, back to Travis. What is the deal to combating him, and what are the Niners defense doing well that they can stop any type of passing explosion from Patrick Mahomes?
You want to start this one, Joe?
I mean, the 49ers have, in my opinion, the best linebacker in football, Fred Warner. I think you just plaster him on Kelce, and you do have some safety help over the top. That's how you do it. I think you just make him a non-factor. I mean, I just think that time and time again it's been proven that when a play needs to get made in that defense, Fred Warner sets the tone. He is the tone setter of that defense, and I think this is a matchup he's looking forward to. And then I think on certain opportunities, there'll be chances where safety will have to cover Travis Kelce. But I think you just shut him down. I think the biggest thing with the Chiefs is a lot of speed with their rookie wide receiver out of Texas. You got to try to see if you can slow him down as well. Keep an eye out for the trick plays. But I like my chance if I'm San Francisco 49ers of Fred Warner versus Kittle. I'll take that. Or Kelce, excuse me. If it's Kelce versus Warner, I'll take Warner all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to say that it's going to be on the safeties like Hufanga and those guys to really take care of him. Those guys aren't going to be matching up against the slot receivers as much. You're going to have a nickel out there for that. The main thing is the safeties. If they're not giving up the vertical threats to Kelce, if you're able to cover him underneath and over the top with the linebacker with the safety over the top, and take that away from him, don't let him go running around those crossing routes. I think that's how you take Travis Kelce away. That's why you've seen teams limiting him, because they've been doing just that, putting a safety on him for over-the-top coverage and having a linebacker running underneath, buzzing, taking away those quick throws so he can't get those big plays down the football field. It makes Mahomes go to those other guys quicker. So I think that's what teams have success doing with him. I expect San Francisco to go and do the same thing, to try to say, hey, let the rookie Worthy beat us. Let some of these other guys beat us. We're confident in our secondary. And I think that's where they're going to look to get their advantage today.
So we've got Xavier Worthy. Kareem Hunt. It's a very mixed match combination of offensive players for the Chiefs, to put it kindly. They're making it work. They had a bye week. I also recently discovered that many teams are playing the Niners after a bye week. So they're rested, they're recovered, they're ready to take on a very strong 49ers defense. I think Patrick Mahomes, what is the key to stopping him? It's like, that should be tattooed on my forehead, because I'm asking this every single week, I think, and no matter who he's playing against. What is the key to stopping Patrick Mahomes? Deal it. He literally deals it all the time.
I think the hard part about Patrick Mahomes is, yes, him throwing on schedule is tough to stop. But with the receivers that he has, if you got guys that can run with the receivers, you can take away those ad-lib throws that he does. Those times where he's breaking the pocket, running around and underhanding it down the field and throwing it across his body to the opposite side of the field. If you take those throws away from him, you can make this team play the field goals a lot. That's how you beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Keeping them out of the end zone, force them to stay on schedule, throws stuff that he doesn't want to throw because, plain and simple, they just don't get those consistent on schedule throws for big plays. It's a lot of the times it's more him moving around the pocket, buying time for stuff to open up down the field. So if you can do that to Patrick Mahomes, take away those off schedule throws where he's making big plays down the field, force him to kind of sit in the pocket and wait on receivers to get open down the field, you're going to get sacks, you're going to get turnovers, okay, you're going to get hits on them that force some throws into the ground. That's how you kind of force them to play to 3 instead of play to 7.
Yeah, I definitely think it's big for Nick Bosa and those boys to do what they do today. I mean, to any quarterback, but especially with Patrick Mahomes, you got to make him uncomfortable, get him off the spot. Because Jeff's right. If he has all day or even a couple seconds extra to throw the ball, he's going to find that guy that either peeled away from this defender and got open, or some kind of magic no-look pass. You just got to make him play your game. Don't give him time to throw the ball or time for his guys to get open. He definitely has a hodgepodge and ragtag, whatever words you want to use, type of receivers right now, but he's making it work. And I think the thing people need to think about too is bye week. Don't think that him and Andy Reid weren't sitting on the whiteboard drawing up even more crazier plays and ways. How can we get Worthy the ball? Hey, Juju Smith-Schuster had a great game. How can we get Juju the ball in space where he can make plays? They probably spent their whole bye week thinking those kind of things. So the pass rush to the 49ers is the key.
All right, let's go to Brock Purdy and give him some flowers that I think he deserves. He gets a lot of shade from here time to time, and I don't know why. But I think Brock Purdy's going to be throwing the ball a lot. And to who, I don't know. I'm actually predicting it's going to be a big Kittle game because Ayuk has shown brightly and then he has kind of fallen flat. And I don't think that this is the matchup for him to be hot and cold. And with Debo kind of injured, I think that's also a point of problem here. So for Brock, talk about what Brock Purdy is doing well and just keeping this offense afloat. You guys really gave the Niners, their credit for being where they are right now.
Yeah, well, he's playing within the system, and that's what you want him to keep doing. Don't go out there trying to be a hero, because that's not what got him to the Super Bowl the first time, right? To go out there, play within the system, do what you're supposed to do, throw on schedule, make the correct reads, don't get rattled by the pressure, all right? Make the manageable throws, throw it away when you're in trouble. Don't go out there turning the ball over. Don't force it into coverage. Don't do the things that cause the big mistakes trying to play hero ball. That's been the problem with Brock Purdy when guys have gotten hurt. He's going out there and trying to be the hero because he wants to prove that, yes, I'm an elite quarterback. You don't have to prove it. Just keep winning. You're going to get paid. You're going to have a success, and people will still give you the credit that you deserve, regardless what they say about game managing this and that. The fact of the matter is when you're undefeated or you're going out there winning division championships, going deep in the playoffs, nobody cares whether you're a game manager or not. You're a top 10 quarterback because you keep winning. That's all they care about. So the main thing is to go out there, play within the scheme. Don't go out there trying to do too much. Continue to win ball games with the guys you have, and he'll be just fine.
All right, so over under on Fred Warner punches here. You got more than one or what? Because I think he is dominating with the punches, and I think that really helps the defense keep that momentum.
I go more than one. I'm a big fan of his. I don't think he's talked about enough. I think he's really, really, really good at what he does, and he's a game wrecker. I mean, this is a guy that if I was offensive coordinator, my offensive game plan starts with, okay, how can we make Warner a non-factor? Okay, now that we kind of figured that out a little bit, even though it's not going to work, we can do the rest of our game plan. I think he's a guy they have to definitely watch out for. And I think for the Brock Purdy question, like Jeff said, just play within the system, man. Don't try to force it. You're not Patrick Mahomes. You're not Aaron Rodgers. You don't have to be. I mean, I think he's been doing one thing I like about his game this year, I see, is he's scrambling a lot more. And when he scrambles, he's getting down, he's sliding, getting out of bounds, getting first downs. But when he's running the ball, it's effective. I think that's a new wrinkle in his game. He's always had a little bit of wiggle to his game, but I think you're seeing a lot more of it this season. So I think if he just plays to himself and doesn't try to, hey, I'm going toe-to-toe with Patrick Mahomes, so I have to play like Mahomes. No, you don't. Play like yourself, and you can still win the game.
All right, over under one or two punches or what?
I'm going to go with one. I think the main thing is he's going to get a shot against some of these guys that are not exactly the best ball handlers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he's going to have his hands full with them running enough Kareem Hunt at him. They seem to want to run Kareem Hunt a lot more than they want to run Pacheco. And that's a different kind of Kansas City team that he faced in that Super Bowl. Right? Yes, they ran Pacheco, but Pacheco's a wide runner, not a heavy inside runner. Kareem Hunt is a heavy inside runner that can run wide. So he's a guy that, they're going to hammer you with him. He doesn't put the ball on the ground a lot either. So it's a different kind of wrinkle with Kareem Hunt coming at you than what he saw the last time.
All right, we'll just stick to one. I think if he had 2 punches, it would absolutely explode in Levi Stadium because I feel like I've seen an increase just based off of Fred Warner's week 1 punch. All right. Should we roll into our rapid fire picks?
Sure. Let's get to it.
Back-to-back weeks of success.
Yes. Well, rapid fire. We showed you the results so far. I must say things are heating up. It is about time because it was quite cold on this side of the pick screen for a while. We're going to start this off with Houston and Green Bay.
We're not going to slow our way into it.
They're the 1 o'clock kickoff. They're in the 1 o'clock window, so they're up first. Houston, Green Bay, the matchup everybody's talking about in the early window. We went in depth on this one. Who do you guys have?
There's just too many good games in the morning. I don't understand.
Well,
I'll go Houston, Texans. Give me the Texans.
So Joe's going
Green Bay in Lambeau Field.
I trust. I go Houston.
Well, I'm going to go the opposite. I think Green Bay gets the job done at home. I think they're going to be physical. I think they're going to enjoy playing in front of their home crowd. Some reason I think the NFC North gives Houston a problem. We saw that with Minnesota. I think Green Bay is going to have something in store for them at home. I don't think it'll be a blowout like the Minnesota game was, but I do think Green Bay pulls it off.
I have no idea who to pick. Honest to God. I think the Texans defense is like one leg stronger. So I guess you're lone wolfing on the Packers? That's crazy. Okay, we got Nathan out of Green Bay too. So you're not technically lone wolfing, but I feel like picking the Texans only based off of that one strong side of their defense. So I'll give you this.
I didn't see any wolves when I was in Florida. I saw a deer. Didn't see any wolves.
They're around. You don't want to go looking for them, that's for sure. All right. We go to the Meadowlands. Eagles, Giants. Usually not the sexiest matchup, but it's always a tough matchup. These two teams don't like each other. The cities love to talk crap about each other. I know I'm from New York. As much as I'm a New Yorker, I love a good cheesesteak. That's about as much Philly as I like, other than Boys to Men. So, who do y'all guys got in this matchup?
I think if the Eagles lose this, they got a lot of things to work on and internally, and Nick Sirianni's looking at a big old firebomb, so I'm going to give it to the Eagles.
Okay, well, Greg is going New York. Greg's going New York. You two guys are going Philly. Well,
you actually picked the Giants? Are you kidding for real?
It's not far-fetched. That's actually where the Eagles season ended last year. Well, the regular season ended last year with a loss to the Giants in New York. In New Jersey, excuse me. They don't play in New York. They play in New Jersey.
This music is hitting.
Yeah, I'm telling you. So, yeah. I'm going to go with the Eagles. I think they're a better team. I think they're playing better. I think the way they're built currently, they sweep the Giants this year. All right. Seattle, Atlanta, in Atlanta.
Greg is lone wolfing on the New York Giants. I'm sorry, can we please acknowledge what's happening?
What is happening right now?
There is a method to Greg's madness. I haven't figured it out yet, but there is a method to his madness.
Okay, Greg, if this is your lone wolf of the day, good luck, my friend. Sorry, go on. Seattle versus Atlanta.
Yeah, the battle of the birds. Seahawks, Falcons in Atlanta.
Is Kirko Banks for real? I think the Seattle defense is a little better. Ooh.
in the words of Jack Nicholson as the Joker, hubba, 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 who do you trust? Do you trust Atlanta in this one, or do you trust Geno Smith and the Seahawks? I'm going to trust Atlanta. I am not trusting the Seahawks right now. This is not the team that I saw in the season last year making a nice playoff push. This team seems to be unsure of itself. They're still trying to figure out who they are. Give me the Falcons.
See, I think Kirk gets sacked like 3 times. So I'll have to go Seattle. 3 or 4 maybe.
I'm going to go Atlanta. I think Kirk Cousins gets it done at home.
Uh-oh. We got Greg on Atlanta and Monty on Seattle. I think if Monty's on my side, I'm feeling good. I'm just going to say.
John Robinson. I'm going to go Atlanta.
Okay, whatever.
All right, so Ashmere gets we got a lone wolf on the first 3 games.
We're keeping it spicy here on Moving the Chains, okay?
Tennessee, Buffalo, with a Mason Rudolph sighting in Tennessee. So Mason Rudolph will be starting today, from what I hear. Interesting, Titans fans, how you feel about that one. Amari Cooper makes his Buffalo debut. So Greg is already going Buffalo. How about you guys?
Yeah, I'm going Buffalo. I think Tennessee is slowly starting to get into train wreck territory. No offense.
Yeah. I don't even know if, I would be mad if Will Levis wasn't playing today. I think it'd be nice to have him not take the field. So I'm taking Buffalo as well.
I'm just mad I can't see their offensive coordinator ask Will Levis the most random questions when he makes a stupid turnover. I do enjoy that every Sunday.
Listen, I'm going to say this. There's a cereal that describes what's going on in Tennessee right now. If your team is booty, we got booty-os for you, because right now they are booty. All right? Give me Buffalo.
I thought we were going I have no idea.
All right.
About that before the show
I
started.
was snap, crackle, pop. What's the
All right. So this used to be a premier matchup years ago, but right now you could probably call this the Booty-O's Bowl, because it's the Battle of Ohio. Cincinnati and Cleveland, both teams not playing at their best right now.
I'm going.
Listen, Joe Burrow went blonde for a reason. And this is the matchup that he went blonde for, and there's no Amari Cooper. So.
Deshaun Watson's one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL.
I don't even know what he's thinking. It doesn't even look like he's processing on the field, right?
Yeah, he just lost his sauce, man.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our second consensus pick of the day on the Bengals.
Sorry,
Bills and Bengals. Yeah.
I can't believe I lone wolf on Seattle. It's still driving me crazy. Oh, well.
Well, just think, if you're right, Ashmere, you get to say I told you so.
It's true.
All right, the second big matchup, Detroit and Minnesota. And I haven't seen Steve in the chat, so we already know what Steve would say about this matchup. So,
Skull.
Man, this game is in Minnesota. Ugh.
Well, Greg's going Lions.
I go Vikings. The streak continues. Sam Darnold should have been on the field for USC yesterday. They could have used him.
You like your processing, Ashmere?
I guess it'll go Vikings.
Okay.
This feels like a field goal, last second drive down the field kind of ending, not like there's a big lead. There's only one moment.
The last couple of games for Minnesota have been nail biters. Like the Jets were coming back against them. They had a turnover. They could have lost that game. So maybe it bites them in the butt this week. I don't know. I'm still going Vikings.
All right. So I guess it leaves it up to me to decide whether Greg's going to lone wolf on the Lions or we're going to be evenly split. Minnesota's going to be tough to beat at home. Aiden Hutchinson's a huge loss. But I think the Lions still get it done. I think they are able to do what nobody else is doing. I think they go out there and get a lead early and maintain it against Minnesota. I think they finally force the turnovers that people have been expecting out of Sam Darnold, because they're going to make him press when he's playing from behind. So I'm going to go Detroit and split the panel.
Okay.
Hey, this is good. We haven't split in a while.
Okay. Wait. I'm sorry. I'm going to reconsider the Battle of Ohio. This is the real booty bowl right here. Okay. All right. Here we go. All right. So we got the Raiders, who seem to have anything and everything going on right now, and the Rams, who are just down to a whole lot of backups. Okay. So who do you have in this matchup?
I'm thinking, wow, Ashmere, wow. She didn't take
I
her
don't
own
even
team
watch
seriously
the Raider
at all.
games anymore.
She doesn't even take her own team seriously. Damn, Raiders fans, it's like that.
Woo! Is it even a team? I think it's like it's a Max Crosby show, and that's all I'm watching. Okay.
And he's not happy with the coaches. I'll tell
Yeah.
you, if you got all this drama, your team really is booty. Okay, it is what it is, and you know.
I feel bad for him. I wish he did get traded to the Lions.
I'm going to go with the better coach team. I'm going to go with the Rams. Rams big.
You know, I think this is a big running game for the Raiders. But I'm still going to pick the Rams. That's really bad, but whatever. We're all Rams unanimous.
For fantasy purposes, though, Brock Bowers,
Well,
he's the only person they got.
Ashmere, I'm gonna tell you what. I've been burned by both of these teams, right? I'm
no
not
way
comfortable.
to go
I'm not comfortable picking either one of these guys. I picked the Raiders; they've let me down. I picked the Rams; they got blown out. Okay, so I'm not comfortable with either one of these teams. However, seeing how dysfunctional the Raiders are, I am even more uncomfortable picking the Raiders than I am picking the Rams right now. So that's the reason why I'm going with the Rams. Right now, the Raiders are an absolute dumpster fire. What's going on? Like when you're fighting with coaches and players on the sideline of games, and I'm sorry, people say Aaron Pierce looks like my cousin. Right now, we're disowning that side of the family right now because we played it simple. It's not looking good in Vegas. I'm about to say Oakland. It's Vegas right now. But yeah.
It's bad. It's bad there.
It was such a feel-good story, too, man. Antonio Pierce took over, all this energy. It's going to be a brand-new Raiders team, and it's been completely the opposite this season.
You can't have a brand new team with Gardner Minshew starting the season. I'm sorry. He's been in the league. That's not brand new.
I'm sorry. I'm running out of descriptive adjectives, so I'm just going with the low-hanging fruit. Okay, it is what it is. We're going to move on because we got more booty coming up. Here we go. The Carolina Panthers head to Washington.
Oh, Commanders all day. Jaden Daniels gets a rushing touchdown. Terry's got 2. My fantasy is blowing up.
Yeah, we're gonna stomp a mud hole on these guys.
I like how you said we.
I mean,
yeah.
It's been a long time since we've had a game that we're supposed to win. I think this is the one. If it's like second quarter and it's like 10-7, I'm gonna be very angry. I want like starters resting in the third quarter status.
Greg, despite the fact that he's loving on Chuba Hubbard, takes the Commanders. Yeah, listen, I love it when fans say we. Like we're going to go out there and play with these guys. We're not. We're going to support you, but we ain't doing this. They doing it. They're going to get it done for you. Commanders. All right. Here we go. Super Bowl rematch. Can the Niners get it done at home versus the Chiefs?
Oh, God.
Ashmere's going through it this morning with these picks.
I think these are really, like, my record is so good that I'm, like, holding on to a lot. You guys go first.
All right, I'll go first. Well, no, Greg is actually saying Greg's going Chiefs.
Oh, good. Nathan's on the Niners. This
All right.
helps.
Here's what I'm going to say. The NFL has proven the more you win, the closer you are to losing. They lose today. Despite having a bye week and preparing for it, I think San Francisco gets it done at home. Okay? The Chiefs are known to lose some of those big matchups in the regular season, and they get those teams in the playoffs. This is an occasion where that happens. The Niners come into this game. Yes, they're banged up, but they're battling. They're getting better, and they're playing pretty decent football. The Chiefs are playing well, but once again, they're also hurt and injured. They didn't get any healthier with the bye week. They're still missing wide receivers like Rashee Rice. So give me the Niners in this one. They meet in the Super Bowl again. Give me the Chiefs.
Okay, I'll take the Niners too, but they are on their third kicker, and we're at week 7, which I forgot to mention.
I want to pick San Francisco, but I learned a long time ago never go against a healthy Patrick Mahomes. Give me Kansas City.
Greg is telling you right here, Andy Reid off the bye week is incredible.
As I said, he's been drawn up. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to have a day. Worthy's going to get the ball off double flea flicker reverses. It's going to be crazy. Give me Kansas City.
I mean, I won't be disappointed if I'm wrong, you know.
I will be. As we all know.
Here we go. All right.
Russell Wilson returns to the league.
All right, the Jets versus the new Here We Go Steelers. That's right.
I think Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers have a field day. I go Jets. Even Garrett Wilson should be a lot easier life for him now.
I was only rooting for Pittsburgh for Justin Fields. And now that he might not be their starter, I'm just going to go with the Steelers still. That was weird. That was a weird transition, but I'm rolling with it.
Where did that go?
I think the defense is what will get it done here.
Steel City?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me Russell Wilson. I bagged him in the beginning of the show. If you made it this long, you saw that, and I'm somehow picking them to win.
All right. I'm gonna make my pick, but while I'm doing it, I'm gonna talk to the Jets fans and organization. You have given Aaron Rodgers another thing of what he wanted. He wanted Devontae Adams. You have given him Devontae Adams. He wanted Allen Lazard. You gave him Allen Lazard. Okay, yep. You got Garrett Wilson for him. You got him tight ends he wanted. You got him the lineman he wanted. If he does not get it done with Devontae Adams, you'll need to say bye-bye. Okay, move on from this and find another way to go. Okay, you have given him everything he wants. If this game isn't enough for you to win, with Devontae Adams and all the guys, he's crying about the receivers. They're not running what he needs to run. These are the guys he's picked. Now you're going to bring in another guy he's picked. If they don't get it done with Devontae Adams versus Pittsburgh, you need to say bye-bye after this year.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm picking the bye-bye.
So you're going to lone wolf on Steel City.
Cue the sound effect.
Thank you. You're welcome, Steelers fans. I mean, Jets fans, if they lose, if they win.
Dual Monday night games. You got to love how they decided, you know what? The opening week isn't enough Monday Night Football to have 2 games. We got to do it multiple weeks. So here we go.
I love it.
Monday night games. The trucks are already. I was at Ray J yesterday. The trucks are already there for the Ravens and Bucks. There was no Bucks Weekly because we're still trying to get everything sorted down here with the hurricane. So I didn't make my pick on Bucks Weekly, but I'm going to make my pick now. Give me Lamar and the Ravens to come in here to Tampa Bay and win. I think that it's just going to be too much the way they're playing. They finally figured out the synergy with Derrick Henry and Lamar playing together in that offense, unlike they had going the first couple of weeks. They got it going now. So give me the Ravens and an upset on the road.
I'm Baltimore all day, too. Ravens flock.
I think Greg is picking Tampa. Mike Evans, I don't trust the defense. Okay.
Heard that. I think you're a little wolfing with that one, sir.
You know, if Patrick Mahomes can beat this team, I know it's week 1. I'm going to go Tampa 2.
Ooh.
Tampa 2. Look at you, Ashmere.
Tampa
2. Look at you, showing your football knowledge.
Thank you.
You had Baltimore, right, Joe?
Yeah. I'm going Ravens.
Is that because they won the battle of Baltimore, the Beltway last week?
No, nobody cares.
No, okay. That one Ravens fan, he got arrested.
Yeah.
He cared a little too much. Okay, here we go. NFC West matchup. NFC West versus AFC West. The Fighting Harbaughs from LA come out to Arizona to take on the resurgent Kyler Murray Cardinals. Greg is going Cardinals at home.
This is the last time I put faith in them. They've burned me like 4 times this season. I'm going to go Arizona. I think the Kyler Murray, the Marvin Harrison Jr. combo is real. I think they beat the Fighting Hardballs. We'll make it ugly. You know, this time Arizona, I'm done.
There's something crazy happening in the AFC West because the only 2 QBs that can take on Patrick Mahomes are from Oregon. So I'm going to pick the Chargers only for that reason. Because his internal competition lies within my university. So I'm rooting for Justin Herbert here.
I kind of like the way that was worded.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, I would say cue up the lone wolf for Ashmere on this one. But I believe in the Fighting Hardballs. I believe they go to the desert and get the win this week. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Superchargers, no longer the San Diego Superchargers. Yes, there was their old fight song.
I do remember that.
So we're going to split on that game. The Thursday night matchup, Minnesota. Will they be a one-loss Minnesota traveling to LA to take on the Rams? Or will they be undefeated Minnesota traveling to the Rams?
If they've lost, they're gonna take it out on the Rams. So either way, I'm picking Minnesota.
Yeah, I think this is a laugher. This is good. This should be the first Thursday night football game we've had in a little bit.
Wow, the Jaguars did it, everyone. They won.
Look at that. Dude, when they play in London, they are like the elite teams of the 70s and 80s. They're just a different level.
Yeah, listen, I like I said, I have a hard time trusting the Rams. I definitely don't trust them versus Minnesota. So, yeah. So we're going to go unanimous on Minnesota for Thursday night football.
Is that our only one?
No, we have a few.
We have a few. 1, 2,
we're consensus on the Bills,
3,
the Bengals, the Rams in the matchup versus the Raiders, the Commanders, and the Minnesota game on Thursday night. And there you have it. That is rapid fire for this week. And once again, to refresh everybody's memory, what we had last week for rapid fire. Okay, and those were last week's results. In the words of Beetlejuice, I'm feeling real good about myself. You know what I mean? Yeah, 12-1. Yeah.
Okay, before we close things out, I gotta ask, who are your must-start fantasy players for today? We've got 38 minutes till kickoff.
I already named one. I think you got to go Brock Bowers. He's all you have in Vegas. So I definitely think I would go with him. I think somebody else I'd go with. Oh, I'd go with Austin Eckler, Commanders, playing against the Panthers. That's a guy that can get you receiving yards and rushing yards. That's only 2 I can think off the top of my head, those 2.
That's good. Those are good. All right, who's your must-start, Jeff?
Oh, listen, if I'm going to must-start somebody, if I have more than one quarterback and Lamar Jackson is one of my quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson starting today because he's going to get you everything you need, not just passing yards, but rushing yards, okay? He's going to find ways to move the ball with Derrick Henry against this Tampa Bay defense and not just throwing the football. They're going to do it in many ways. They're going to challenge Todd Bowles in ways that he is not used to seeing consistently. I think that's why they pull off the win, but it's going to be because Lamar Jackson gets it done not just through the air. And it may not have a 300-yard passing day. It may be 200-plus and a touchdown, but he's going to add in at least 80 yards rushing and a touchdown as well.
All right, and since we were talking about the high-flying Texans-Packers offense, which team do you see, which receiver do you think is going to be targeted the most? Is it going to be Tank Dell, Dalton, I don't know who the third is, or for the other side, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Kraft?
I think Kraft is going to have a good game. I think, once again, we talk about the Green Bay Packers. If you're worried about the receivers, the guy that hurts you the most is the guy in the middle of the field is the tight end. Kraft is going to be the guy that hurts them a lot because third downs, they got to move the chains. He's there. Red zone, he's got to get those big catches. He's there. I think that's the guy that's going to keep the chains moving for them when not running the football. It's going to open up things for those receivers because when they start giving up chunks in the middle of the field, they're going to start to change up coverages that allow those receivers to get open. So overall, I think Kraft is going to be the guy that opens things up for Green Bay today, not so much the guys on the outside.
My pick is Watson. I think he's going to have opportunities to make some plays and get himself in the end zone.
Okay. All right, perfect. I'm not going to give any picks, only because I'm not doing too well. I guess, of course, you're starting Terry McLaurin. I don't have too many. I'm really down bad, you guys. I'm last in the league. This is like a really bad NFL season for Ashmere.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. So
yeah, that's not.
Make sure you're managing a roster as injuries and bye weeks come along.
Well, when you wake up to start Ramondre Stevenson and it goes wrong, you're like, man.
You have those weeks. You have those weeks. There were plenty of times I started out 500 after 5-6 weeks in fantasy leagues and still won the league. As long as you get into the playoffs, anything can happen.
There you go. I'm stuck in the last
my fantasy spirit animal because I need that.
There is no home field advantage in fantasy football.
There you go.
Good point. All right, guys. As always, we've had a great show. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you are new here, welcome, and be sure to follow Team NBS Media on all your social platforms. We will be here every Sunday. We've got shows throughout the week. You asked for it, we've got it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and we will see you all next week. Good luck in football, and have a great Sunday, everyone.